What's up guys, it's the Devil's Town here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the 5 best landing spots for you in Arena Trios, Trio F and CS, and whatever trio tournaments that end up coming up this season. But before I get into the video guys, if you do enjoy my content or find what I'm telling you helpful, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, we just eclipsed 500 subs, and turn on post notifications. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Before I actually start listing what POIs I think the best, I'm going to be explaining the criteria that I'm using to evaluate these POIs. Firstly, I'm going to be talking about loot density, which I believe is personally the most important. Then I'm going to be talking quick access to materials, and then I'm going to be talking about access to fishing holes. Then I'm going to be talking about rotation, ability / location, and 5, I'm going to be talking about access to free shield and NPC containment. But the first POI, or number 5 best POI, I believe is Slurpy Swamps. And now let's take a look at the loot density for Slurpy Swamps. We click on the chest here, and Slurpy Swamp boasts about 16 chests in their POI, so not too good. Overall, for a trio, it's going to be a little bit sparse, especially if you're heavily contested. It's not going to be that great. That is one of the downsides to this POI. However, when you talk about for quick mats, if you land over at this portion, there's going to be wood pallets located here and here, which allows you to get a good amount of quick mats off spawn, allowing you to fight. And I feel like that's kind of the trade-off of landing on this side. You get free shield on both, which I'll be talking about in a second, but the quick mats here allows you to have an advantage over here where they're going to have more than likely a loot density if you're splitting the POI with another trio. Now, in terms of fishing holes, which again is something that I'm going to be talking about for all of these POIs, fishing holes, a significant amount of fishing holes around Slurpy Swamps. One of the strong assets of this POI is the access to fish, with rift fish being so huge. Getting them is absolute paramount in competitive playlists. So we'll look at all of these fishing holes just around this POI. There's quick, easy access to fish. So a big, strong part of this particular POI. And then let's talk about rotations. So for rotations, there is obviously vehicles here. Its location on the map overall is down and to the left. It does make rotations that are difficult up here. You can maybe take a car. All the boats are outside. Sometimes it would have been nice if there was a boat that spawned inside Slurpy to just kind of boat rotate wherever you want to go. But rotation is minimal, and it being on what I would consider an extreme bottom portion of the map, it makes northern rotates and far western rotates extremely difficult. Rotation sometimes can be unfortunate on coming out of Slurpy Swamp, but the best part obviously is going to be the shield. Now the shield, obviously, you know that the slurp barrels are kind of been this focus. You have 2 big 50 ones right here. You have tons of little ones over here. You have infinite shield here. That's what Slurpy Swamp is all about. It's invaluable to land as a trio and pretty much be insta 100 health and shield off land, thus minimizing your RNG. Slurpy is really good in that regard. If you're able to bail out as well, you get to keep all the shield that you do find with your loot. So Slurpy Swamps, in my opinion, is the 5th best POI for trios to be landing. The next best POI, in my opinion, or the 4th best, would be Craggy Cliffs. Let's take a look at the loot density of Craggy Cliffs. With 20 chests, it's a little bit better than Slurpy, but again, compared to some of the other POIs on this list, it doesn't have that significant amount of loot density. When in regard to quick mats, there is quick mat access, with there being wood pallets on this southern portion of the map. Again, quick mats minimize your RNG off spawn and allow you to be able to fight quickly and effectively. At least in my opinion, I pulled that to a very, very high standard for what you want in a drop spot. Now, when regards to fishing holes, another strength of this POI is access to fish, with it being around the water. Look, you have all of this right here, and you have a nearby Flopper Island, which maybe you might be fighting Stealthy Stronghold team for loot, but there's fishing a good access amount to fish compared to some other POIs like Colossal Coliseum, for example, which has very limited access to fish. Landing at Craggy Cliffs is going to get you at least some opportunities to get some fish, which I said is incredibly important if for getting rift fish, slurp fish, floppers, etc. Now rotations here are not as bad, even though that it's a very northern POI. There is access to boats at this POI. There's some boat spawns that can, again, cause you, there's one right here just kind of outside the POI, and then two that are right here. And with it being on the edge of the map, these boat rotates you can safely rotate around the map if you don't want to go through the thick and dense part of the map. But if you need to make a quick southern rotate, what's really good is you can just hop on this boat right here, go down here, and then you can use the sand and all that stuff. So rotations are nowhere near as bad. You're not kind of as isolated dealing with Slurpy as you are. So in my opinion, I think Craggy is an excellent drop spot. But oh, I forgot to also mention, so talking about shield, there is access to slurp barrels and shield. Look at that, 13 overall in the POI. That's a significant amount. I mean, nowhere near as much in Slurpy, and most of this is located in main. But these slurp barrels, again, if you're able to control main, we saw this in the inception of from squads FNCS. You would see a lot of squads lane at Craggy and then try to control all that shield and minimize that RNG off spawn. Craggy, that's one of the best benefits. Obviously, in comparison to Slurpy, it's not that much, but it's the second most besides the Shark, which doesn't have enough loot density to be a trio drop spot. So this is really one of the strengths of Craggy. So I personally put it above Slurpy Swamps, in my opinion. They're pretty close, but I would say Craggy has the edge. And I believe another reason why Craggy has the edge, which we haven't talked about yet, is upgrade NPCs. So these are NPCs that allow you to upgrade your weapons. So you get a bounty, you get a lot of gold, and you can go up and improve your loot. That's really crucial. And as you can see, Slurpy Swamp does not have one of those, but Craggy Cliffs does. And I find that incredibly important, especially with there being a limited number of upgrade NPCs on the map. So again, Craggy Cliffs, fourth best POI to land at for trios. The third best POI for trios to land at, in my opinion, is going to be Sweaty Sands. Let's take a look. If we turn on to chest, we see a significant amount in the entire POI, with there being about 30 chests. That's a significant amount of loot density. It's going to allow you to land at different portions and get enough loot to get out of the exact POI. In terms of quick mats, there is not a significant amount of quick mats, not a ton of pallets, not a lot of things that you're going to smack readily. I believe the only quick mat access is really up in this corner. I believe there's some wood pallets here, but it's not a significant amount. So fighting at Sweaty Sands, you may have to be a little bit more methodical before you end up pushing opponents, but Sweaty Sands does offer a great access in regards to fishing holes, as you can see, kind of splitting them with coral. Look at the amount of fish you can get. You also have this pond back here that's just outside. So in regards to access to fish, it's really good. There's a lot of fishing spots around there. And again, like I said, fishing is extremely important in competitive playlists. Now, in terms of rotations / NPCs, if we look at the rotations, it's not super duper polarized to one side of the map. So it's more of a center POI. Its rotations are bad. You can take a vehicle and easily get out here. There is, I believe, one boat as well. There's one boat that you can take and make water rotates if you so choose. So, and then there's another boat that's just outside here. But the rotations are not super duper horrendous for this POI, especially with there being cars and vehicles at all of these POIs that you can kind of just drive out. And then it being so close to the sand, you can make far rotates to like dirty or retail that you need pretty quickly just because of the 0 point and the sand with it being so close. So rotations, again, not a problem. And Sweaty Sands has an incredible track record. I believe not last FNCS, but every FNCS, a winner of some kind did land at Sweaty Sands. It's been one of the most consistent POIs since the inception of Chapter 2. So it has a pretty impressive track record overall. And then in regards to shield and NPCs, there's no shield barrels here, and believe there's no upgrade NPCs. Yeah, no upgrade NPCs, and there's no shield or slurp barrels anywhere near the POI. There is some noms in the gas station, but other than that, so not a significant amount of that regard. But overall, just because one, it's significant amount of loot density, it's easy ability to rotate, I think this makes it the third best POI, just mainly again because of that loot density and having quick options to be able to rotate easily. The second best POI, in my opinion, to land at is going to be Coral Castle. Now let's take a look at Coral Castle in terms of loot density. If you talk about this really I would say these chests include Coral Castle for the most part. This is the shark, so I'm not going to be including that. This is not the POI, and this is more the metal wing. So look at this, in about 15, 21, 30, 32 chests within a relatively close vicinity. That's a significant amount of loot density. And in regards to quick mats, this place is absolutely excellent. The brick here, these brick statues give you about 40, 50, 60 a pop, and there's tons of wood. So really good quick mats. You can easily leave with 5-5 fast. However, here's the one drawback to that is there's very limited amount of metal, with most of the metal being located at these metal planes that are down here below. So again, not great in terms of metal. You have to find something in your rotation that allows you to get metal, which again can be very hard to do or difficult, but the significant amount of loot density is maybe worth it, as well as one of the strengths of the POI being this access to fishing holes. Obviously, being a water-based POI, you have 2 here, and then it's whoever beats the fishing hole spots between you and Sweaty. This is kind of where there's competition for. But Coral also, in terms of the next thing, rotations. Now, rotations to like caddy and retail can be extremely difficult. That's kind of the biggest drawback, along with the mats, to this POI. But I believe the significant loot density and ability to quick mats is going to allow you to be able to survive off spawn really well at this POI. But there is boats. There's a significant amount of boats in the POI. But with it being in a bowl, it's extremely annoying to get up and out and then use the boats to your advantage, because once you make it to the sand, everything is pretty fine. But let's say you have a significantly far rotate. You got a lazy lake rotate. It's down here at the bottom of the map, and you get storm held. It's just really annoying having to like build up and out and then take the boat, and then you fall off, and it's just frustrating. So rotations can be a little bit annoying. That's the biggest drawback, in my opinion, for Coral Castle. You can usually funnel in at other POIs and get your metal, I've found. So in my overall opinion, oh, and in terms of shield and NPCs, I almost forgot, there is some slurp barrels to the top right here of the POI. Again, I'm not counting the shark as a part of Coral Castle, so there is some okay-ish. There's at least there's some there as opposed to none. And there is an upgrade NPC, which again I find extremely great. With that significant amount of loot density, you get a bounty, you get a finish, or just lucky enough to have a significant amount of gold, you can upgrade your loot and really have an advantage over your opponent. So places that give you upgrade NPCs are really valuable, in my opinion. I know it's a little nuanced things, but it's like certain POIs have upgrade stations, if you want to think about it in terms of last season. Coral Castle is one of them, and that is going to be extremely beneficial for limiting your RNG. The overall best POI, in my opinion, to land at for trios is going to be Dirty Docks, and that is for a significant amount of reasons. So if you take a look at this kind of chest, you see 35 chests in this whole entire area. You have a significant amount of loot density. That's it being one of its biggest strengths. 35 chests. There's also access to quick mats on both sides. There's pallets here. There's pallets in this little metal area. There's tons of wood pallets by this 18-wheeler truck right here. So quick mats off spawn is incredibly good. Not to mention that there is metal. All 3 types of materials can really be found here. There's tons of brick on the outer outskirts, and there's tons of buildings made out of brick that you can farm up very quickly, so that's really good. And then if you go to even the next criteria of fishing holes, look, there's fishing holes all over. If we just zoom out a tad here, about 5 and then 4, so a significant opportunity for fish, which is really excellent. And then if we look at rotations, locations, with it being a center POI, not super duper polarized, in terms of center of the map, if you were to obviously organize, this is top, this is middle, this is bottom, the rotates are usually never ever difficult, especially with their access to look at how many boats you have available. These are all boats that are, this one is really not too helpful, but these are extremely helpful. This allows you to make long, safe rotations. And then there's obviously, with it being right next to a road, there's vehicles that spawn around here and here. Vehicles can easily take you out. Rotations, with the amount of mobility that you have, are truly not that big of a deal as they used to be. Making these foot rotates, once you make it to the sand, like I said, if you have that type of, you're usually fine. You can get back ahead if you were behind. And with those access to fish, you could maybe tank storm and rotate long if you want to make a nice dead side play. With the amount of boats here, that is truly possible. It's really good. And then another, the only drawback I really see is there's no significant amounts of shield. But again, 35 chest opportunities, that's a significant amount of loot density. That's going to really minimize the fact that you're more than likely going to still get shield when you have 35 chests to play with. That's a significant amount. And let's take a look at something. This is the only POI in the entire game that offers this, but there's 2 upgrade NPCs. So what does that mean? This is really good. Let's say that my trio lands 2 here and 1 lands here. I could get a bounty and then maybe get a finish, get some gold, and then, oh, there's another team third party, and we can go over here, get another bounty, and we have significant amount, and we can get this significant amount of gold and then upgrade easily. Plus, this guy also gives a P90, which is a controller player's dream. This is Brutus, I believe. So this is the only POI that features 2 upgrade stations in the same location. Nowhere, these are the next closest to, and these are not at POIs. So this is one of the biggest separating factors, in my opinion, is the access to these upgrade NPCs, almost never ever leaving. If you win your fights off spawn, you're never ever leaving. And with the loot density and the amount of quick materials, it should be, if you play it very well, should be pretty easy to get out of here off spawn. You got fish to come and help you as you get out, get riff fish, get flappers, slurp fish, whatever you need. It's the, by far, I believe, from a holistic standpoint, the best POI for trio landing spots. And again, the only drawback I would say is that there's no additional shield. However, a lot of POIs don't truly even offer that, and Dirty Dock's loot density allows that to be countered. Well guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I hope that you did enjoy. If you did, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. And I hope I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.